Welcome to the Online Success Journey podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey podcast, Patience.
The Online Success Journey continues with episode 376. Every guest shares the path that took them to success. So you'll want to subscribe right now and ensure you'll never miss a journey. I post one journey each week and I would love for you to join me. Today we have Aditya Varanasi, the founder and the CEO at Awarity, where they disrupt the advertising industry by making world-class marketing more affordable and sustainable for up-and-coming companies. Hello, Aditya.
Hello, Patience. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. My audience are excited to hear your story. Just start by telling us one thing we are going to learn from you today that will help us on our journey to success.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I would start with is the path to where you want to go is never easy and it's never quick. But if you stay patient, persistent, and focused on the customer, you'll ultimately find the way through the journey.
Wow, I can't wait to hear more. Let's start with the basics. Can you tell my audience a little bit about your background, what you did before you started your own business?
Yeah, ironically, I never imagined I would become an entrepreneur. I started my career as an engineer. I worked at Frito-Lay, which is a part of PepsiCo, in the research and development group. And I got to work on products like Cheetos Scoops and Lays Stax and really enjoyed it. But that was the first time I got exposed to marketing. And, I had the privilege of working with some brilliant marketers on those initiatives. And I started to learn more about the challenges the marketers were solving for, which is, what does the customer want? What's the business need? What's the competitive response going to be? How do you think about pricing? How do you think about featuring? How do you think about profitability, economic sustainability? And as I learned more and more, I became more and more fascinated with that side of the business, so much so that I ultimately went back and got my MBA at Northwestern and then rejoined Frito-Lay in the brand marketing group. And there I worked on brands like Cheetos and Cracker Jack and Lays and Tostitos and learned a lot about how advertising works. And the biggest thing I took away from my time there at a great company like PepsiCo is that the customer journey is long and winding. It's never just one thing that ultimately drives growth. You take something like Cheetos. Cheetos advertises on TV. We don't advertise on TV because people don't know what a Cheeto is. It's just to bring it top of mind on why it's a unique snack in the world of snacking that has healthy snacks, sweet snacks, various salty snacks, fruits. There's a whole host of options, but Cheetos is unique. It's orange, it's playful, it makes you feel like a kid when you eat it. It's messy, and it gives you an experience unlike any snack. So the role of the TV commercials is just to remind people of that. And we would see when we would run TV campaigns, we would see other marketing tactics like pricing, in-store promotion, features. All of those things would actually perform better when we had TV running versus when we didn't have TV running. And it's a reminder that this idea of reaching new customers and growing, it's not about one ad click. It's not about being in one search query. It's really about that entire experience where people learn who you are from awareness to ultimately purchase. And that journey is long and winding. And so that is a huge experience that informed when I started Awarity. So I left Frito-Lay. I was hired by a private equity group to run a startup. And they were well funded, but I experienced challenges in replicating that successful playbook I'd learned from PepsiCo at a small business. And the challenges were awareness building advertising is very, very expensive and can be very inefficient. And I parted ways with that private equity group after about 6 months, but the experience was invaluable. And that's where I started Awarity. And our mission was to make it easy for small businesses to build targeted awareness, and not only make it easy, but make it affordable, because I could see at every stop in my career how that awareness was a key to enabling long-term growth. And so our whole focus was, how do we help businesses affordably, efficiently, and effectively reach new customers, build awareness, and know that if we can build meaningful awareness, everything else they're doing in their marketing mix is going to work harder. It's going to become more efficient. For example, if you run a search for a business and you see 3 options, you're going to click on the name you're most familiar with. So if you've seen 2 or 3 banner ads for that business before you run that search, you're going to be more likely to click that search result versus other things. And so that's ultimately what led to the formation. And now, I've been here with Awarity for we started in 2016, but we didn't really start growing and scaling the business until 2018.
What a background, Aditya. Why do you do what you do?
Small businesses are such a big part of our economy. They employ half our workforce. There's 30 to 40 million small businesses, depending on how you count it. They're a huge part of our economy. And I think that experience from seeing how big companies like PepsiCo have really developed a science for marketing and advertising that is really inaccessible outside of large companies, it made me think, hey, we can really do something to bring the best of what these big companies are doing and make it affordable and efficient for small business. We can do something that can help a lot of people. And that really is what gets me excited to come in every day, is working with these businesses and seeing their passion, seeing their excitement, and helping them share from the experience that I was fortunate to have and let them benefit from what we're able to do to help them. And then it's even more rewarding to see them succeed and grow.
Let's put Iman aside. How do you know you are successful?
I think success to me isn't about what you accomplish, it's how you accomplish what you do. And so you can accumulate a lot of wealth, for example, but if you do it in a way that you're causing harm to others, you're not doing things the right way, that to me isn't success. And so the thing that I always look for is every decision we make is focused on 3 things. 1, is it good for our clients? 2, is it good for our team? And then number 3, does it enable a sustainable business? And by sustainable, obviously it has to be profitable. We have to be able to run a business on that value that we're providing. And if we can check all 3 of those boxes to where our clients are getting more value than they're paying for, our employees are being enriched and being able to experience things and be treated with respect, but also bring their best self to work, and at the same time sustain this for a long period of time from an economic standpoint, that to me, is something I'm proud of.
Tell my audience how to cut through the noise and break through with their targeted customers.
We're exposed to 4,000 to 6,000 ad messages a day. And so people are advertising to us everywhere that we turn. And the key to breaking through the noise is a few things. One is simplicity. We're in a world where there's so many choices on everything. Keeping the message simple on how you can help somebody, that's provide them some meaningful value, and telling that story in 3 seconds is a key component of breaking through the noise, because the sooner you can connect with somebody, then you've captured their attention, and capturing their attention is the first step in building a relationship. And so the first thing is simplicity. I think that's easier said than done. Every business out there has so many things they're proud of doing, so many things they've invested in, so many capabilities they have. And it's really hard to whittle it down to those 1 to 2 things that really resonate with the target customer. And so I always advise people, talk to your customer and don't be afraid to ask open-ended questions without biasing them and saying, what's the one reason you chose to go with us? And use that kind of insight to determine what you should be messaging in your advertising, on your website, in your social media, with your search ads, with everything that you're doing. Be consistent with that message, because consistency and simplicity are the things that'll first help break through the noise. The second thing is you have to stay persistent. We can't run an ad campaign for 2 weeks or 1 month and think that it's going to change behavior. Advertising and marketing by nature is trying to get people to try to do something different. And it's really hard to get people to break habits and try and do something different. And so you have to give it time and you have to stay persistent. The results may not happen overnight, but if you give it time and you have that consistent message that can break through, you're more likely to stick and resonate with that target customer than you would if you give up too quickly. And then the third is ensure you have a diverse marketing mix. Too many people rely on social media or search for all of their leads, and those can be very successful channels. But part of building a brand is reaching people in different ways at different times. And so our banner ads and connected TV commercials can help create demand, generate awareness. Social media is great for engaging people and creating conversations. And search is great at the point of conversion. When people are searching, it means they're more likely to take an action. And so diversifying that marketing mix across the entire funnel and looking at different ways to reach your customer from different angles with that simple message, and then doing so persistently, those are the three components to really breaking through the noise.
Thank you. Tell my audience about the magic moment, the day it suddenly all went right for you.
Oh, I don't know. I'm still waiting for that day. No, and I say that jokingly, but I think there's a lot of truth in it. In life, there's always ups and downs. And to me, the key to staying persistent is to not get too high with the highs and too low with the lows, and instead celebrate the lows, celebrate the moments that didn't go the way you want, and see what you can learn from it. We were actually talking as a team yesterday. We worked with this group last fall, and it was a very, very difficult group to work with. And I'm not going to get into the specifics, but it was very hard on the team, and it caused a lot of stress. But at the end of the day, while the result didn't go the way we may have liked because of the way the partnership ended up being structured, we learned a lot from it, and it's enabled us to develop some new capabilities that we're finding are opening a lot of new doors for us. And so in the moment, it might have been difficult, but if you turn that adversity, those challenges that are sometimes difficult, and see what you can embrace, what you can learn from it and adapt from those learnings, it's a way to turn those down moments to an up moment. And I think for me, that if you ask for that single moment, I think if I can embrace that mindset, that's the magical moment.
How should brands make data-based marketing decisions when it comes to advertising?
It's difficult because we're in a world where people want to measure everything. And what that's created is this focus from some organizations on conversions. How many leads am I getting? And if you look at if you make all your decisions based on the last thing people saw and say that's what drove the lead, it's misguided. It's discounting the impact of your website. It's discounting the impact of your other advertising. It's discounting word of mouth. It's discounting all the other ways that people learn about you and ultimately end up purchasing from you. And so what I would advise to make the best decisions is a couple of things. One, look at your marketing in totality of that customer journey. Map out all the things you're doing to build awareness. Map out all the things you're doing to engage your current customers. Map out all the ways that you're answering their most common objections and questions and showcasing the value that you're providing in the most authentic manner. And then map out where you're present at point of purchase. What are your sales channels? How do people find you when they're ready for you? And how easy is that? And if you look at that journey in totality, you can then score and assess different marketing channels against different objectives. Ultimately, the goal of all of it together is to drive sales, but you can't expect awareness advertising to immediately drive sales. That's bringing new people in that are just starting that journey. And so look at KPIs like new website visitors. Look at what pages people are engaging on your website. Constantly be listening to customer feedback on what are the key points, the key reasons they chose you, and make sure that message is present in your awareness advertising. And think holistically about that journey from beginning to end and score each thing for the role that it's supposed to play in your journey. If you're using social media for engagement, look at engagement metrics. If you're using banner ads and billboards for awareness, look at awareness metrics. Score each ad channel for the goal in the customer journey, and then look at it in aggregate towards how that's ultimately driving sales. And then the second thing is give it time. Because we want to measure everything, it's very easy to want to make snap decisions. But like I said before, it takes time for people to change behaviors. And so pulling the plug on things that you deem are working or not working too quickly sometimes leads to misinformed choices. And it can take time from people to see that first ad to ultimately purchase, and be aware of that when you think about how you're testing different things.
Can anyone be an entrepreneur, or are some people more cut out for it than others?
It's an interesting question, and I think there's different forms of entrepreneurship too. Even in big companies, I found at PepsiCo, I was very entrepreneurial at PepsiCo because I was always trying to do new and different things, find new ways to solve the challenges that we had. If you take my example, I never dreamt of being an entrepreneur. I never really prepared for being an entrepreneur. I took a couple of classes in business school just because I found it interesting, but not because I thought it was something I would pursue. But it was just a sequence of events in my career that ultimately led to this point. So in my case, I don't know if that was learned or if that was inherent. I think it's candidly a combination of both. It's not easy because with entrepreneurship, you don't really have much of that safety net. You don't have in terms of knowing where to turn. So it's important to have the right experiences and the right network so that you have resources to turn to when you are facing challenges. But there's plenty of people that I've seen that at a very early age figure it out very much quicker than I did. And maybe those are born entrepreneurs. And then there's people like me that learn to become an entrepreneur over time. So maybe it's a combination of both.
Thank you. How do we know we have the right creative message?
The first thing on creative is it should be simple. And that's the hardest part. We produce ads for hundreds of businesses throughout the year. And it's much easier for us to do that for our clients than it is for ourselves. And so taking stock of what matters most to the customer and simplifying the message in terms of what it means to the customer is the hardest part. And so I would say you first start with simplicity. The second rule that I put it through is I say, hey, if our competitor took this ad, removed our logo and put their logo into it and maybe changed the colors and fonts, could they use the same ad or not? And that means, is it distinctive? So simple first, distinctive second. Is it unique to your business and could not be used by your competitors? And then I think the third is constantly look to get feedback where you can from your customers and ask open-ended feedback and try to solicit an honest reaction to see what they're saying.
What have you learned from business as a whole?
Business as a whole, and even the foundation of capitalism, to me, it's about creating a win-win. It's always about creating a win-win. And I think there are some people that unfortunately view it as a win-lose and a zero-sum game. But to me, if you can focus on value creation, where the person we're engaging with is getting value and we're getting value back as a business, that to me is what's sustainable and can last in the long term. And so the biggest lesson on business is always look for how there's an equitable exchange of value. And that sounds really simple, but if everybody focused on delivering as much value as they want to take back, that to me would unlock huge economic growth.
If you could rerun the first year of your business, what would you definitely not do?
It's a tough question, and that's not to say we didn't learn a lot of things that we did different in year two. But honestly, if we didn't learn those things in year one, then we would have repeated those mistakes in year two. And I think it goes back to the comment I made earlier. A lot of it's just about what you're learning and how you're adapting. But I think the biggest lesson that we learned in year one that we continue to try to adapt is how do we frame what our product does for the customer, not what we do, not what we've invested in, and not what it means to us. What does it mean to the end customer, and keeping a maniacal focus on that. So I think there's a lot we learned in messaging in the first year that we started to apply in year two that, if we had to do it again, we would have had a jump start on how to better message and communicate the value our business provides.
What is the most valuable thing you have ever given away?
Yeah, I think time's the one resource that everybody has a finite amount. And whether it's giving time to a nonprofit to help share advice or considerations for their business and their marketing, or helping a small business with things to think about on their marketing strategy, I think the most important thing I could ever give away is time.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
I think persistence. It's really easy to, and when I say persistence, it's not just trying the same thing. It's constructive persistence of when something doesn't go the way you want, figuring out what you can learn from it, and then trying again. And then when that doesn't go the way you want, making changes and trying again. And continuing to do so with the belief that you'll eventually figure it out. And so there's a confidence component and there's a persistence component to that ultimately, I think if you ask every entrepreneur I've talked to has shared a similar type of sentiment and experience.
What grounds you?
I think the thing that grounds me is I can't control the results on anything. I can control the effort, energy, passion. I could control what I put into it. I can't always control what happens. And when I embrace that, it puts me in a position to say, if I can't control the outcome, I can only control my outlook. That's what keeps me grounded. So if something goes really well, it's the same thing has to apply, that I can't sit here and take credit for it. I have to say, hey, I'm glad it went well. I'm glad it went the way that we hoped it went, but it keeps me grounded to know I can't control the outcome. I could be proud of the energy and effort I put into it.
Why does it seem like it is easy for big companies to advertise and not smaller companies?
Yeah, and I think that's honestly a little bit of a misguided perception, having been on both sides of it. Even big companies will say they don't have the resources they wish they had. Everybody is dealing with finite resources. But I think one of the differences is that big companies are able to pass a threshold on economies of scale. And being able to pass that threshold on economies of scale allows them to access things that small businesses generally can't access. And I think part of that is there's a limited amount of talent in the marketing and advertising industry, and they generally gravitate to big companies. And so I think that's partially what fuels that perception too.
What is one thing no one knows about you?
I think when it comes to entrepreneurship in particular, I think it's very easy to celebrate what people perceive as success or things going well, to look up and say, wow, look at what they've done. I don't think people always realize or think about how for every great day, there is also a very, very difficult day. There are days that we've all thought about giving up. We've all thought about moving on. We've all questioned our own capabilities. And so it's easy to celebrate success, but I think, it's equally important to embrace the fact that everybody has their own journey that's full of ups and downs. And so what we might see from the outside looks really bright and sunny. I think for myself included, there have been plenty of days I question, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Are we really going to make this work? And I've let that doubt creep in. But ultimately, going back to that persistence and confidence and staying grounded, that if we stay persistent and if we continue to try to do better, we'll figure it out. And trying to remind myself of that is ultimately what's helped us get over the hump.
Do you have mentors and coaches in your business?
I've been really fortunate from the work experiences I've had at PepsiCo, at Dundle Holdings, even at Capital One, for the time that I was there. And then people I've met along the way where I've learned a lot from all of these people. I look at even the folks that I worked with just in Frito-Lay marketing, and I think about the people where we were all sitting in the cube farm at Frito-Lay, and I look around, I think about the people there. There are CMOs, CEOs of major Fortune 500 companies that I was privileged to work with early in my career and learn from. And so I've always taken the philosophy that that coaching and mentorship can come from anywhere, from anyone, from any level. You can always learn from everyone you encounter. And I think embracing that has been really helpful for me, because I've learned things from people that they probably don't even know I learned from them, because I didn't always call it out. But just by observing things they were doing, that was something I was able to file away and be able to use and learn from on my own down the road.
Let's talk about your business. Tell us about it and how can we join it?
Yeah, so you can visit us at awarity.com, www.awarity.com. I consider us the most efficient and affordable advertising channel in the world. And it's very easy to enroll. What we do is we'll serve ads specifically to your target customer. So if you're a restaurant, for example, we'll only serve ads within zip codes that are near your restaurant. If you are a B2B customer, we can serve ads to small businesses, to IT decision makers, to people reading content about cloud computing. We can be very, very targeted with that advertising. The key to leveling the playing field between big and small companies is ensuring the small business has something that could be very targeted to their needs, which then allows you to take the spending down. And so whether that's our targeted banner ads or targeted non-skippable connected TV commercials, both of them efficiently isolate your target customer and ensure your message is getting to the right people.
And how can we connect with you?
Yes, visit us at awarity.com. If you'd like a free marketing assessment, you can go to awarity.com/thegift, and we'll provide a free marketing assessment for you. Otherwise, you can go to awarity.com, and on the top right, just fill out a request for a free proposal. It'll take you about 30 seconds. We basically need your website, your target budget, and a little bit of info on who you want to target. And within a business day, we'll schedule a call with you to review a proposal with you and talk about how we can reach your target customer. And we'll be the first to tell you, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do.
Thank you.
There will be more from Aditya in a moment. If you're encouraged by Aditya's journey, please go to my website at onlinesuccessjourney.com, where you'll find more amazing free content. Are you struggling to achieve one or more of your major goals? Do things like fear, confusion, and overwhelm get in the way? Then maybe I can help. I work with clients to support them get unstuck and make massive leaps forward to create their dream life. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com/coaching and let's chat on Zoom to see if we are the right fit for each other. That's onlinesuccessjourney.com/coaching.
Now, Aditya, I would love for you to share more with my audience if you're up for it.
Sure.
Thank you. Do you watch movies or read books?
A little bit of both. I probably do more movies. I love, documentary style movies that chronicle real stories. But I enjoy reading. I enjoy reading too. I'm also a big consumer of blog content and short form content to learn about new things as well.
Okay. Tell us, what is your favorite movie that has some relevance to being an entrepreneur?
I'm trying to think if there's a single movie that has relevance to being an entrepreneur. It seems like a lot of the entrepreneur movies that are made are about things that I don't necessarily want to model or replicate, particularly recently. And sometimes I find those a little bit stressful to watch too, because you think about all the things that we shouldn't be doing as well. But, I always like movies where people are defying the odds. I like to see stories about people defying the odds. You see acts of heroes. Like a movie that resonated recently was Dunkirk, and kind of the heroic actions of the British citizens to use their private boats to cross the English Channel and rescue their soldiers when they were surrounded by the German troops in the north of France, but how civilians risked their lives to help the war effort. And I think anytime you see something where you see people coming together for a common cause, and the power of how when there's unity, you get more than 1 + 1 = 2, you get 1 + 1 = 11. and what they were able to accomplish against all odds in that kind of an environment. That's something that stands out. And to me, that's probably the lesson most relevant to entrepreneurship. It's never about just an individual. It's about a team coming together and accomplishing more than the sum of the individual parts.
If your business was down to its last $100, how would you invest it?
Down to the last $100, how would we invest it? We've been there. We've been there before in the early days. I think first and foremost, you have to make sure the team is taken care of. That's the number one priority. Because going back to the previous comment, no business can succeed without an incredible team that's united and unified against a mission. And so if we had our last $100, it would be, how do we continue to keep everybody that we can keep on payroll to keep the mission going forward? Because if we don't have the team, we don't have anything.
What is the best business book you have ever read?
I like Outliers quite a bit. And I like Outliers because it really broke down the things that differentiate that top tier level of accomplishment in a way that I hadn't considered. And it kind of reinforced the notion that we can't always control the outcome. We can control what we put into things, and to be mindful of what we need to do to try to have that influence. So Outliers is one that's very influential for me. Another one I like is The Done-Though Investor. So my previous boss, Monish Pabrai, wrote that book. And I found that very helpful for me to think about entrepreneurship in terms of the parallels with value investing. And what that enabled was a view on how we think about our own business investments in ways that we feel highly confident about the ROI based on very tangible benefits. Instead of investing in things that we hope will work, it reframed it to invest in the things that we're pretty confident are going to work right away.
If you are going to keep a note to yourself in your pocket every day, what would be written on it?
Life is a game, play it.
Do you feel like you succeeded or like you're only on the way?
If you go back to the previous definition of success, which is, it's how you're achieving what you're achieving, not what you're achieving. I think success is an ongoing, lifelong challenge where every day trying to see if you can make a positive impact with everybody that you encounter, whether that's clients, whether that's your team. But if you could make everybody's day just a little bit better by being helpful, by being kind, by helping them with a challenge. And sometimes that also means giving people feedback on ways they can improve, but doing so in an honest, compassionate way. If you can have a positive impact every day on the people you encounter, that to me is ultimately success. And I think that's a work in progress every day to try to do that.
Will you ever stop?
I don't ever want to stop that effort. I think there's days that I wish I could do better. There's days I feel proud of, but I think it's one of those things every day you have to keep trying. And ultimately, we're only, our worth. They say your net worth is your network, and so having that positive impact on others pays dividends well beyond any economics. But it kind of helps solidify your place in the world too.
Remind us how we can connect with you.
Yes, visit us at awarity.com, AWARITY. If you'd like a free marketing assessment, go to awarity.com/thegift, or you can request a free proposal, and we would love to tell you ways we could help you in your business.
Aditya, it's been great to have you to share your online success journey with us.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. Remember, success is a journey. Don't wait. Let's start the journey. Patience and detail.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to Patience and her guest and want you to know that there are hundreds of episodes available at onlinesuccessjourney.com. Patience would like to thank you for listening to the podcast, and she has a free gift for you on her website, including an audio compilation of her guests' best tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. Additionally, there are special clips of over 250 episodes that have never aired on the podcast and are only available to members of the Online Success Journey. Check the website and click on Join Now to get free and instant access. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps us each chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed on the favorite platform you have to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the online success journey and listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review the podcast at Apple Podcasts and other sites. We appreciate your help and your willingness to share the journey. One last thing, if you're feeling a bit lost or overwhelmed on your own journey, Patience can help. Check out our coaching sessions on how to set goals and double your productivity while you're at the website. Working with Patience is a great way to get back on the right path. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.